Well, Cody, we just kind of recently saw you last month, so I guess how's the turnaround been, like health-wise, physically? Was there any thought of possibly staying out longer, or did you just, you wanted to get right back in there after your last performance?
I feel good. I've never had a thought to stay out longer. I feel like anytime they call me, they know I'm going to say yes and, try to put on an entertaining fight. But yeah, I like it. I come from a wrestling background. We're wrestling every week, multiple times a week. Sometimes the hardest thing about fighting is you fight and then you got to sit on it for 4 or 5 months. And, it's nice to be able to turn around in 4 weeks and try to correct some mistakes from my last one.
Well, I was going to ask that. It seems like former wrestlers are the ones that want these like quick turnarounds because they're so used to it. So do you think that gives you an edge over maybe other fighters that they're only fighters and they need that 12, 14-week camp and you know what it's like to turn around on like multiple days of notice?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that contribute. I think my weight's always pretty good. I stay in good shape. I don't cut a ton of weight so that I can stay ready for opportunity. The wrestling background, the grind of college wrestling definitely helps a ton. It prepares you. I'm never really too beat up. I hurt. Everybody's hurting. Fighting hurts, but I'm never too injured, and I've been fortunate that way. Knock on wood. But yeah, I love staying active. Even when I was coming up on the regional scene as an amateur, I just always wanted to fight. I feel like fighting is a great job, but you're not here for a long time. So try to get as much as you can and try to grow and get better in the cage. I think that's the best way, learning on the job. So yeah, fortunate to have another one and excited to get in there.
What do you make of your opponent, Donte? Because obviously not a lot of tape on him. I'm sure you've heard it all, like 100% finish rate. It's not every day we get a young prospect at media day like himself. So what do you make of his skill set and his kind of the push the UFC seems to be making behind him?
Yeah, it makes sense. He's super talented, very explosive, dangerous fighter, super well-spoken. Seems like a good dude. I don't know a ton about him. I've been that kid. I've been the 26-year-old, undefeated, finished everybody, and then I got to the UFC. I think growing up in the UFC is hard, and they obviously recognize that he has a lot of talent. If they're matchmaking me, this is my 15th UFC fight, and this is his second, so obviously they see something, and it's my job to not let somebody build a name off me, but for sure, all the credit in the world to him. He's super talented and excited to get in there.
The last few years is like your fights have just been like something was weird is always kind of happening. So I guess what's it like mentally to kind of like a lot of it's out of your control, right? So how do you kind of flip that switch to kind of get past it? Because a lot of fighters, it dwells on them and it eats at them. But I feel like every fight we were leaving, it's like, oh, something's weird's happening with Cody again.
Yeah, it would be great to be like, I don't dwell on it, but I do. And I think that's some of the issues maybe I've had in my career is there's a lot of ups and downs, a lot of weird things that a lot of times are out of my control. And it would be great to sit here and talk to you guys and be like, oh, I don't let it bother me. It plays no effect in my mental, but that would be a lie. It definitely does. And, you just hope that you can kind of overcome those things. I feel like for me, it's never really been a physical issue. I think in all of my fights, there's glimpses of, okay, this kid's talented. But, yeah, it's just overcoming some of the mental hurdles. And, that's 90% of the game. So if you can't do that, it's going to be hard to stick around. Hopefully this one, we figure some shit out.
Has that been frustrating in the sense that, like, how good you are, but, like, you haven't been able to either put it together or show it in the octagon?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's the most frustrating. I feel like if I lacked physical ability, it would be something that's like, okay, well, we just need to get better here, or we need to work harder, or the mental side of things is a lot harder to address. And, I've done a lot of work on that as well. I've done, I've met with sports psychologists. I've worked with mental performance coaches. And me being in the UFC as long as I have is kind of a testament to that. I feel like if I hadn't done that, who knows if I would have stuck around as long as I have. And yeah, I'm excited to get in there and try to prove it. I tell you guys every time, no, this time I'm gonna show up, and sometimes I don't, sometimes I do. So hopefully we can start a streak, but just get some consistency. That would be great.
Do you think the UFC kind of recognizes that too, that you are better than maybe your last several fights have been because you get these opportunities on these big cards?
Yeah, I would imagine. I think they know that I come to fight. I'm a finisher. I'll go out on my shield, and I bring it. I compete super hard, and I feel like that I've been here 15 fights really speaks to that they know, like, hey, we've seen glimpses. We haven't seen a complete performance, but there's something there. We got to keep this guy around. And the other thing is, I'm always down. I'm always down to fight and really fight, not just show up. Like, I show up to fight, and I think that goes a long way.
And last one for me. Did I see you're having a baby girl in July? So congratulations. Yeah. How excited are you and the family over that?
Super pumped. 3 girls. I think I'm done. I don't think I want 4 girls, and that seems like the way it's trending. But No, I'm pumped, man. I have 2 daughters already, and I know how to do girls. Boys are a little scary. You know, boys come home one day and they're like, I think I could beat my dad's ass. My girls will never do that, hopefully. So, yeah, excited for that.
Why do you think fighters always have girls? Like John Jones, Anthony Smith, Volkanovski, it's all girls.
You know, I saw something that said it's because you have high testosterone, but I think that's a load of crap. I actually think, well, there's a whole bunch of science behind it, but I think stress leads to more girls, right? I think boys are more fragile, so the more stressful your life is, the more likely you're going to have girls, and being a UFC fighter is, you know, I would put it up there pretty high with the stress factor for sure.
Yeah, Cody back here. To piggyback off of that, being a girl dad, do you see the day when they want to bring the boyfriends over and you're like, nah, come here, we're about to watch some highlights so you know what you're messing with?
You know, it sounds good to say that, but I'm just hoping I raise smart, strong girls that make good decisions, man, and then I won't have to worry about it, you know. So there's definitely a piece of me that's like, man, I got to let these kids know, but hopefully my daughters will let them know before I have to, so we can avoid that whole interaction.
Cody, from my vantage point, it seems that you have an air of fearlessness about you when in the octagon. Would it be safe to say that at times you throw caution to the wind? And if so, can you talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. You know, respect everybody, fear none, but that's how I am, man. I fight, caution to the wind's a good way to put it. Sometimes we come up with these great plans in the back, and it's like, hey, man, we're going to drill this plan for 12 weeks, and then I just kind of say fuck it and piss my coaches off and just try to, you know, get the guy out of there in 30 seconds. And I don't know what that is, man. I don't know if it's anxiety of like, man, I got to get the hell out of here. Because there's been fights, you know, where I'm winning and I make poor decisions just for hunting a finish to get out of there. And yeah, I don't know what that is. We're trying to fix it, you know. But again, that's part of the reason I'm here. You know, I throw caution in the wind. I'm down to fight. And I think this is the entertainment business. My fights aren't always like the most technical, but I don't think anyone can look at them and be like, they're not fun to watch. So it's how do you have a little more caution, but still keep that fearlessness, you know? So that's kind of what we're working on. And 15 fights deep, maybe we'll figure it out.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you.
There's been all these different eras throughout the UFC, Spike era, ESPN, Fox, and now CBS. Your fight will be on CBS, kind of a historic moment. I mean, have you thought about that, and what does that mean to you?
Not really. You know, when I was checking in, Dean told me, like, one day you'll be on Jeopardy. So that's pretty cool. But, I fought on ABC, CBS, ESPN, Paramount. The resume gets longer and longer. It's definitely cool. I know one day I'll look back and be like, man, we were doing some cool shit. You lived a cool life. But in the moment, you know, it's just like, hey, how can I make it in this sport longer? You know, I don't want to be done. And so, yeah, I'm not too focused on it. But, yeah, it's a cool thing for sure. Cool. Thanks, guys.